Hey, lovers! Welcome to the Book Lovers Club, the podcast where we celebrate Black Sapphic love stories, one book at a time. I'm your host, Joy, a married lesbian, lifelong book lover, and relational communication scholar. Here, we don't just read the romance, we learn from it. I believe that love stories can do more than just entertain us. They can teach us how to love better, how to see ourselves more clearly, and how to create the love life of our dreams. Each week, I'll dive into sapphic stories written for us and by us, while weaving in personal insights and communication lessons you can take off the page. So grab your drink, get cozy, and let's turn the page together. Welcome to the club. Welcome back. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I can't sing, but that's not going to stop me from singing a little tune for y'all, okay? Look, one thing I'm going to do is have a good time up in here. But welcome back, y'all, to another week, another episode of the Book Lovers Club. And I hope y'all are doing well out there. It's a lot going on in the world. Literally every day, it's a new crisis. And I hope that y'all are doing what you need to do to prioritize yourself and your self care and taking care of you and doing things to kind of keep you uplifted during these crazy times. There's all kind of shit going on between the ICE raids, the government shutdown, the violence. It's just been a lot going on. So please do what you need to do to take care of you. Okay. I'm doing all right. I'm trying my best to stay uplifted. Okay. But, one thing I'm going to do is read a book. That's what I'm going to do. Reading books really keeps me from crashing out on y'all. Okay. Really keeps me from crashing out. I'm so grateful that I have books. So y'all know it's spooky season, and Halloween and spooky season, like, this is my time to shine. Halloween is like one of my favorite holidays. I'm already working on my costume. Me and some of the book club girls, we decided that we're going to dress up for Halloween for the next book club meeting. So we working on our fits now. Okay, I'm not even going to tell y'all what we doing yet, so y'all could be surprised when we pop out. Okay, just know we all working on our fits, and we're going to look real cute for the holiday. But wifey and I became a couple on Halloween. I think I told y'all that already. So we get our little couples costumes together, and by we I mean me. I come up with the concept and stuff, and babe usually just go along with it. But we getting our costumes together. So, but I need two. I need one for a book club meeting, and then I need another one for actual Halloween. So I'm working on two costumes right now. I don't know how deep into the like DIY bag I'm trying to get this year. So we'll see. I'm trying to figure out how much time I can actually dedicate to all of this, because we got it's just a lot going on. A lot going on, okay? But this week was pretty low key for me. I've been reading, like I said, I've been reading a lot of Halloween themed books. So my theme for this Halloween, I wanted to read some filthy blood suckers. Okay, I wanted to read about some filthy blood suckers. So I've been in my vampire bag. So I just finished this book called Chosen by a Vampire by Wintertime. That is not a sapphic book. So y'all know my podcast is dedicated to sapphic books, but I don't exclusively read sapphic books. And I bounce around too. I will try different genres and all type of things, but I'm reading some vampire books right now. But the next book that I'm reading is going to be a sapphic vampire book. It's called Bite Me Twice by J.S. Jasper. So that's the book that I'm about to read next. So yeah, I've been reading multiple books at a time, because I'm also still working through our monthly book pick, which is This Poison Heart by Kalynn Bayron. Okay, and y'all, I'm really enjoying the book so far. So we're going to talk a little bit about the book today, just like share my initial thoughts on it. And we're going to talk about representation. And I know I've talked about representation and why it's important in my conversation last week when I talked about the importance of community, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about it and about the representation in the book, and, like, it's my initial thoughts about the book. But yeah, so I'm reading some Black vampire books for Halloween, and then I'm patiently waiting for Jacquel J to drop these next books because Heart of a Goon is supposed to be coming out this month. So that's Goon and Zoya's story. Okay. And look, I've been on TikTok on the good here TikTok. I done made me some nice little book friends over there. And they are also Jaquel J fans. And they also sapphic book lovers. They also black lesbians. So they feel me, okay? We've been over here discussing these books, and I done made me some book friends. All right. So if you are a Jaquel J fan, look, I'm telling y'all, she's like my favorite author right now. I love her so much. you know, but between her and the sapphic books, baby, I've been having a time. I've been reading some good books, okay? So, but I'm gonna read this little lesbian vampire book next, and then I'm just slowly working my way through my October TBR. So I'm not usually someone that has a dedicated TBR list that I'm trying to like follow and subscribe to because I'm low key a mood reader. Okay, I'm low key a mood reader. I will easily change a mood real fast and want to read something entirely different. Okay, so sometimes me and these dedicated lists don't go hand in hand because I will decide that I don't want to read none of that and I will go off script real fast. Okay, but I'm gonna try my hardest to read all of these black vampire books that I said I was gonna read this month because I'm really excited for it. I also want to watch some movies and things. So I think I might wait till November to start my Twilight marathon because it hasn't been quite cold yet. It hasn't been given Twilight season outside just yet. So I might wait till November to do my Twilight reread and my marathon. Okay, but usually around this season is when I start to do that. I love True Blood. I also have the books that TV show was based on. So I usually do like a reread of some True Blood books and stuff like that. But I did that last Halloween. So I don't think I'm going to touch True Blood this season. But I'm gonna knock down these black vampire books and then probably go rewatch Sinners. That's what I'm thinking. I might do a rewatch of Sinners. I maybe watch Vampire in Brooklyn because the book that I just finished, Chosen by a Vampire, that book is giving me all the Vampire in Brooklyn vibes. And now I've been thinking about it nonstop. So I low key want to watch it for spooky season. But yeah, I don't know if y'all know, but I am a certified fang banger. I love any and all things vampires. Okay. I actually had thought about starting a vampire book club. You know, I was gonna call us like, like the Fang Bangers book club or something like that, and we just read vampire books. But I decided not to do that, and then went in this direction. But that's how much I love vampires, y'all. Because I was like, look, I want to be in a book club where we only read vampire books, okay? But I love all things. Like one of my favorite vampire movies is Queen of the Damned, because Aaliyah played the fuck out of Queen Akasha. Okay, she looked so good in that movie, but it hurt my heart. I went to the movies to see that in person. Okay, like I love that movies. That one, the original, like the Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love that. Interview with a Vampire, but the TV series is fire. I enjoyed the TV series. And y'all know the Vampire Diaries, originals, all of that. Definitely, I watched that as well. Anything dealing with vampires, your girl is going to check it out. Okay. And I am a fan. All right. So I just bought so there's an author that passed away. So I don't just read new releases. I like to read like older books too. But there was a Vampire Huntress series by L.A. Banks. So like the first book is Minion. So that's on my TBR list for this month. But I found her books on thrift books and they were really cheap. Like I had read some of the books years ago, but I didn't finish the entire series. So I'm like, you know what? That's going to be my series that I get this month. So I went and bought all of those books, y'all. all of those books. I got the entire series, the Vampire Huntress series. So I'm going to read some LA Banks soon. So that's going to be my series that I read this month. But, you know, we gonna see. I'm gonna try to work my way through all of these books, but yeah, I'm in my vampire era right now. Okay, like I said, I was in the mood for some filthy bloodsuckers, and the books have been given so far. So I'll let y'all know how I like Bite Me Twice. I've been trying to read it for a minute and then I always go off script and end up reading something else. But are y'all reading anything good for spooky season? Did you come up with like an October TBR list? Please come find me on socials. I like really love making new book friends and we can talk books. I'm always in the mood to discuss some of this stuff. That's why I started this book podcast in the first place. It's because I wanted more people to talk about books with. So yeah, but I have been making book friends and I can't wait to meet some of y'all at the Black Romance Book Fest that's coming up in May. Cause you know I got my tickets. Like that was a fight. Those tickets sold out so fast. So fast. And I'm just grateful that I was able to get my tickets. And I even got some tickets to the events. I didn't get the, tickets for all of the events that I wanted, but I'm just happy because I'm still in the motherfucking house. Okay. I'm still in the motherfucking house. That's all that matters. So, but it's a couple of the book girlies that I've, kind of befriended on these interwebs. And we discussed meeting up with each other at the Black Romance Book Fest so that we can meet each other in real life. So hopefully the vibes are great. I'm always going to bring the good vibes. So I'm excited to meet some of y'all. We got some months away, but and then like one of my book friends was my soror. So me and her been talking and then she was like, hey soror. I was like, you my soror? Turned out we in the same sorority and we've been talking this whole time. So I'm excited to meet her one day, okay? I just really grateful for the community. I keep saying that, keep talking about how grateful I am for the community that I found, but I really mean that shit, okay? I'm not just saying that to have something to say. It is true. I am like really grateful. As much as I crave in-person connection, I am grateful that the internet has allowed me to find connections with people across zip codes like I talked about last week. So, just letting y'all know I'm grateful and I appreciate you for being in community with me and allowing me to yap with y'all about books. Okay. So let's get into this week. So this week, I wanted to talk to y'all about the importance of representation. Okay. And I'm going to introduce a couple of theories to y'all. And I wanted to talk about the book a little bit. So I am about halfway through the book. I've been dragging it out because, I read kind of fast, but sometimes I read the book too fast and then I got to reread parts before the book club meeting because I done forgot. Okay. Look, I'm one of them people. I will read the book, do my little book review because I have a digital book journal that I made in Canva. And I'm going to put that digital book journal on my Patreon so that y'all can have it, the people who are members of my Patreon. But I got journal prompts so I could track my books and write about my initial thoughts about them and my ratings for them. I don't always want to share that stuff online. Like some of that stuff is just for me. But I talk about the books on my digital book journal. And then once I get that information out of my head about the book and put it in my digital book journal and I write about it and I reflect on it, it's on to the next book. Okay, on to the next one. And by that time, I'm deep in a new world. I am deep in a new book. And I forgot some of that stuff, okay? So I'm trying to drag this book out so that it's fresh on my mind when I go to book club so that I could talk about it and discuss it. But what I'm going to start doing is keeping better notes when I'm reading so that, because I'm not an annotator. I want to get into book annotation, but I just feel so bad writing in my books. But the way that the girls be doing this on the internet and they got the markers and all the little tabs and stuff, I feel like I would really like annotating books. I just have to get over that. Like this, I don't know. I just don't want to write in my books, but I do because I like the way it looks and I think it would help me, especially the books that I'm reading for book club. So I could easily go back and reference things because I like took tabs and I annotated. But it's a thing. I don't know. Like, how do y'all get past that? I just feel so bad writing in my books. I don't I don't know how y'all do that. Anyway, I really want to get into it. Maybe I'll start with a book. Like try just one book and annotate it. I don't know, y'all. So like maybe the November book pick, I'll annotate that one. But I really want to try it. But yeah, I have to stretch this book out. Otherwise, I will forget that shit. Okay, I will forget it. And I have to jump right into a new book. reading helps me stop doom scrolling. That's how I started reading in the first place, like this. One day I was like, what the hell was I doing before I was on social media like this? And I'm like, you used to read all the time. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just get back into reading all the time. Like I never stopped reading, but the frequency that I'm reading now is not what I was doing when I was like in school and in college, cuz I was reading articles and reading stuff that I had to do for my academics. I didn't have a lot of free time for this type of leisurely reading. So now I'm always reading, and it helps me stay sane and it keeps me from doom scrolling. But I have to jump right back into a book. Okay, I can't do all of that. It's a slippery slope into a reading slump. And I like the lifestyle that I have now. I'm enjoying my books. So, but I've been stretching that book out. So I'm about halfway through the October book read, about halfway through. So right now I'm in the story where, my girl Bree and her moms, they done moved from Brooklyn into this upstate New York because she done inherited this property. And now we done found, these poisonous plants and learning more about her ancestry and her family lineage at this house. Okay. And meeting people in town. I don't want to give y'all too many spoilers, but she's in town and it's been some interesting characters that have been emerging and popping up at the new house. Okay. And they're trying to get more acclimated to the town and learning about the property and learning about herself. That's where I met in the story. Okay. I'm about halfway through. I'm not going to give y'all too many spoilers. Actually, a lot has happened, but I'm not going to do all of that. Okay. But something that I enjoy about this story so far is how much I'm learning about plants. I literally have to Google all of these plant names. I don't know what none of these plants are. I ain't never heard of these plants outside of a rose. I know what a rose is. Okay, I know what a lily is. Like some of the plants, the more popular ones I'm familiar with, but some of these like very obscure poisonous plants and stuff, I have never heard of these plants. Okay, so every time she mentions something, I got to go and Google it and look it up. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're talking about, girl. Okay, like the black bat plant. It looks like a bat. I went and Googled that and I'm like, oh, it's really called a black bat plant. Say that shit 3 times. Black bat plant. Black bat plant. Black bat plant. Let me stop. Okay, that's gonna be my new vocal stem. Okay, but anyway, the plant, it really does look like a bat. So like when she had described that in the book, I'm like, I gotta go see what this looks like. So I've been stopping and starting, having to go and look the stuff. But I love books that educate me on new things. I feel like I'm finna be a low-key gardener. Okay, it's inspiring me to want to be a plant mom. I don't have any plants in my home, mainly because I be killing them bitches. I do not have a green thumb at all, y'all. And I try. I do not do good with plants. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. And it don't make sense because I'm a Capricorn and I'm an earth sign. And I feel like I should be more in tune with plants and nature and earth. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a try. I think I need some insight. I might ask one of my friends who's a plant mom, like a plant that she recommends that I start out with. But this book has really inspired me to go ahead and get me some greenery up in my home, get some greenery up in here. But anyway, back to the book. So, something that I really love outside of learning about plants is that she has 2 moms, 2 black moms at that. So, I just love that representation in the book. I can't think of any examples or too many other movies or books that I've watched or read or seen and things where there was 2 black women parents. So I really enjoy that representation in this book. I don't know if I'll have children in the future, but if I were to become a mother, it would be because I adopted children. So that's something that me and my wife have talked about. I don't really want to have children, but I don't want to say never say never. And who's to say that once I get older, I'm like, ready to be a mom and want some children. I would love to adopt or be a foster parent. So I love that that representation is in this book because it like gives me some inspiration, you know. But that leads me to what I wanted to talk to y'all about. So there's this theory called social learning theory, which talks about how people learn behaviors, attitudes, and social norms by observing others, especially people that they identify with. But that could be like observing your family members, observing members in your community, your friends. Like we're developing our personalities, picking up behaviors and habits, you know, by observing the people around us. So, depending on who you have exposure to, you know, that could influence the type of people that you date, the type of behaviors that you display in your relationships, the type of things that you associate with love and attraction. You know, people will start to say things or pick up the mannerisms from their parents. Every day I stop myself and be like, ooh, that was my mama. Ooh, I sounded just like my mama right there. Like I'm never beating those allegations. Like I'm slowly turning into my mom, okay? But we mimic the things that we see all the time and the people that are around us. You know, sometimes I find myself saying things that my coworkers have said and like mimicking things that I seen them do. You know, that's why like depending on where you are in your life and the type of lifestyle you're trying to live, like the type of habits that you're trying to develop, the people that you spend your time with have a lot of influence on how successful you are in that. Like if you're trying to switch to a healthier lifestyle, you know, being friends or having people around you that are also living a healthier lifestyle, that go to the gym, that eat certain foods, it's a lot easier for you to make that change. But the reason why I brought this up is that reading the book and how affectionate they are as a couple and the love that they're sharing with their daughter and how they adopted her and just like the communication habits that I'm seeing displayed in the book, it's just really inspiring to see a married couple like this. I think I read a lot of books in the romance genre, and it's always around like couples getting together. You know, it's nice to have this change where they're together and they're married and they're raising a child, and that representation in the book. Okay. And how they're approaching conflict. Because the one mama, she didn't want to go. She didn't think it was a good idea, really, for them to uproot their lives and move from Brooklyn. You know, but the other mom is like, look, we having financial problems right now. This has really come at a opportune time, you know, and we could do this and like listing out all of the things that they could do to make this switch and this change to Brooklyn happen because they could use that financial relief right now. And just seeing them talk through the pros and cons and come up with a plan and how they really factored in how their daughter felt. I don't know. It was just nice reading that on the page. This representation is important because, like I mentioned in my last episode, some of us like we look to the media and we look to the people around us and things like that to influence how we approach life. And some people don't do this on purpose. It's very unconscious. It is very much happening beyond our awareness. Okay. Just for a reference, just so you know, anytime I mention a theory on my podcast, you can go to my website, thebookloveher.com, and look on my blog, and I will have show notes for the episodes that I reference theories with articles and things that you can go and, you know, just go down the rabbit hole and learn more about the theories. So, you know, there's this other theory called cultivation theory, which talks about how, you know, people are absorbing things from the media and how long-term exposure to media shapes our perception of reality and what we think is normal and what we think is possible. So with this being a young adult book, there's going to be someone that's young that's reading this, that now their concept of family and what a family dynamic could look like will expand because of this exposure that they have to this couple, this queer couple raising an adopted child in this book. Like I'm really enjoying this book so far. You know, and I was nervous. I did prep the book club about this book being a young adult book because it's not going to have a lot of spice in it because it's young adult. But Contrary to popular belief, I don't actually like stories that have a ton of spice in them. Or, well, let me correct that. It's not that I don't like books that have spice. I don't like the way some of these authors write spice. Okay? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Some of these phrases I don't ever have to read in a book again. I think we should all ban the word folds. Her wet folds, her wet center. I don't want to ever read this shit in a book again. Folds is so fucking cringy. Nobody's saying this in real life. Her slick slit cunt. I don't want to read cunt in a book. Just say pussy. Just say pussy. Vagina. Anyway, the way that some of y'all write spice, I'm just not a fan. Okay, I skip over those scenes all the time. And some of the books now, it's like all spice, all smut, no plot. I need a plot. I like some character development. And I love romance books, but I want actual romance. I'm not reading these books just for sex scenes. And I'm like I said, I ain't knocking nobody else. I know some of y'all love it. It's a lane for everybody. But I actually want a good story. Things that I like in my romance books, some yearning, some banter. I love a good dialogue between the romantic interests, some cute and witty banter. I love it. Give me more of it, okay? Flirting. I want to actually see the couple flirting. Give them some time to court. Get to know each other. I want to see the relationship develop. Y'all be having these people jump into sex scenes in the first chapter. Like, no, let it build. You know? Give me some slow burn. Give me some slow burn. That's why I love a good enemies to lovers story. That's like one of my favorite tropes. Enemies to lovers. I kind of like friends to lovers, but enemies to lovers is superior. Okay, and I want them to hate each other, like for real, hate each other, and then they fall in love. Okay, anyway, but I think young adult books in the romance genre, because they can't rely so much on like the sex to sell and the smut and things like that, like I feel like you can find really good romance in those books. So every now and again I like to throw in a young adult book to read just to switch it up for myself and try something different. Something I really dislike is when bookstores take books that are very explicit and very spicy and then actually put them in the young adult section. Like, why y'all doing that? I do not think that teenagers and the youth should be reading some of these books. And I know some people, they started reading spicy books at a very young age, but that was not me. I was not doing that, okay? I was still reading Goosebumps. All right, I'm very much a Goosebumps girl. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I told y'all that in the last episode, but I read comic books. So I do have like a big collection of Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic books that I used to read. And I like Archie comic books. I know they really white. I know, but it's nostalgic. I got exposed to Archie at a very young age. One of my aunts gave me a big stack of Archie comic books, and I started reading them when I was so young, and it really stuck with me. So I have a huge collection of Archies and a collection of Buffy, and I used to read those a lot in high school. I didn't really start reading spicy books. Like, I think The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier was probably like my first like foray into urban fiction. And even though I don't feel like that book has spice in it. Let me not say that. I don't think that book was spicy. I don't recall it being spicy, but it was real provocative at the time, okay? But Sister Soldier was like the first like adult book I felt like I read. But some of these kids are reading these really explicit books at a young age, and I just really don't think that they should read dark romance at a young age, because I feel like the type of things that are in the dark romance books, they are too young sometimes to understand context and situation and things like that. And they may start to associate some of these darker things with love and passion. And reading these too young before they're able to like really understand context and situational awareness and stuff like that might put them on a path to end up in some relationships that are very toxic, that can also be kind of abusive. Because the things that happen in dark romance books, it's okay in the book. It's acceptable in the book, but it is not in real life. Don't nobody want to be stalked in real life. I'm sorry. Well, let me not say that. I don't want to kink shame. Some people really do like that shit, but I don't. Okay, I don't. I ain't trying to yuck your yum, but it ain't for me, baby. Like some of the things that be happening in these dark romance books, if it were to happen in my real life, I am not a fan and I'm calling the police. Okay, so, but sometimes the girlies are too young and they reading this shit and it'll put them on a path to end up in a darker relationship because they start to associate those behaviors with love. And it's so many ways to exist in these relationships. So, representation is really important. It's really important because people mimic. I think that a lot of people are on scripts and they don't realize that they're on scripts, and they recite the things that they read and mimic the things that they're seeing. And I don't think that people take enough time to like really interrogate, like, do my actions align with my values, or am I just mimicking the things that I learned? And really stopping to question these things, especially in the romance department. A lot of people are mimicking their parents and how romance looked in their home. And I think, like, for my wife and I, we didn't have a lot of queer, older gay couples that we could really emulate and pull inspiration from. So we're creating our love story in real time. We're really trying to decenter these heteronormative roles and rules because they don't apply to our relationship. But it's a lot of queer couples out there that are just mimicking the things that they see the heteros do. And then it don't really fit for who they are in their relationship. And I think we all have that moment where we have to stop and be like, is this something I actually want to do, or am I just doing this? Like I said, we end up mimicking things that we see in the media, and we mimic the people around us. But if they're not living a life that you want, or their love story doesn't look like the one that you want, why would you be mimicking them in the first place? I think we all need to just take a pause and reflect on that, because a lot of these behaviors, the things that we pick up and we absorb, we do so very unconsciously. So if you find yourself mimicking things and mimicking people that you're around, and those scripts no longer help you live the life that you want to live, and they're outdated, hit them with a plot twist. Hit them with a plot twist. Okay? Well, that's my time. Thank you for tuning in to the Book Lovers Club. If you love today's episode, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a chapter. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review, because those reviews help other lovers find us. So if you want to keep this conversation going, please join me on Instagram or hop on over to Fable to join the virtual book club. And until next time, remember, the stories we read can help us write the love lives of our dreams. See you next Sapphic Saturday.